right.
Can you still not see me?
No, I can see you now.
Do you want to be seen?
All right. So we are going to ask you for a lot of examples
Okay.
in these questions. So just give examples. Remember, it's perfectly fine to say I. And do you have any questions before we start?
I don't think so. What's your names?
Justin.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Justin.
Yeah.
And then
Laura Edgar.
Laura. Okay. I'm Cindy. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you also.
If you want to go ahead and give us your little elevator pitch. Yes.
Okay. So Shawnee State University was founded in 1986, and we're located in Portsmouth, Ohio, which, if you're not familiar with Portsmouth, it's at the bottom of the state, right along the Ohio River. We have 4,400 students here, about 1,000 live on campus, and that includes the part-time and full-time students. We offer around 80 degree options, including associates, bachelor's, and then 3 master's programs. Most of the time in a state university, you're going to expect super big classes, full classes, and here we have a ratio of 1 to 18 faculty to student, so you have a lot of opportunities for one-on-one time. Some of our popular degree options are the health sciences. We've got associate programs in nursing, radiology tech, and dental hygiene. And then our popular bachelors are, we have also nursing and bachelors, and then teacher education, and our gaming department is very big here. So next would be our student housing, and the housing is different at Shawnee because you have more of an apartment style living, and what that is you're going to have a full living and full kitchen in each unit. It gives more privacy and more feel like away from home than what some universities would offer. The tuition at Shawnee is around $7,500 for in-state, and then $13,000 for out-of-state tuition. And there is multiple Kentucky counties that are qualified for in-state tuition. The room and board is around $8,500 to $11,000-ish, and around 95% of the students qualify for some sort of financial aid. So if you want more information, you can go to the website at shawnee.edu.
Now the questions begin. And there's
Did
a
you
lot
make
of
these
them.
up yourself?
Not all of them.
Okay.
Some of them. The tough ones I did.
Okay.
So give us an example of how you have reached out to make contact with people to promote an activity or an event.
Okay. So my current job is with Inframetals, and we sell steel to companies that make bridges and buildings and things like that. So we do a lot of cold calling. So we will get on Google or any like research companies that will tell you who purchases steel, and then we'll basically just call them and ask what they purchase and how much they purchase and how often. And so.
Give an example of a project you have been responsible for. How did it turn out?
Well, because I always want to be prepared for whatever I'm going to be planning. I work for a gym here in town, and we just did a large competition, and it was called the Gauntlet. So we all had to be, each coach had to be in charge of a different area, whether it's judging or making sure the events are on schedule and timed, making sure that all the athletes are checked in and the weights are in their proper places. So we did it, and everything ran right on schedule, and everything went really smooth. We had no accidents, so that's good. I guess.
How do you plan a project or new initiative that has been assigned to you?
First, I would want to look at the time frames that are going to be required and everybody that's going to be involved in it. See what everybody's strengths and weaknesses are, and then delegate out the tasks according to which person would be best fit for each different area of the project.
Describe for us an example of a process or service that you worked to improve for your organization, and describe the results of that improvement.
I would say at InfoMetals we have, like I said, lots of cold calling, and everybody's not always comfortable with cold calling. So if it's just up to them, they might not do as many calls as what they would be required to do, or as what would be needed to get the results that we need. So I made a suggestion of having a spreadsheet, so then we would track all of our calls that we would make each day, and then we can go back and see which ones were successful or which ones, you know, you would need to work a little more time on.
What are your experiences with creating schedules for events or activities or anything that span weeks or months?
Okay. Well, I coach soccer. I'm the assistant coach at Minford. So we have to schedule all of our practices and our conditioning times. It's myself and another coach, and so we both have full-time jobs. So we have to schedule around that, and then a lot of our athletes have other obligations through summer, whether it's 4-H or other sports. So we like to schedule around everybody else's activities to make sure that we can get the most people at every practice.
Give an example of when you planned something out well in advance, then you had to make a last-minute change. How did you handle the situation? Who was involved?
Okay, so I will go back to our competition at the gym. You never know if somebody's going to get hurt or show up late or not be able to make it or something like that. So we had, each coach has their own individual project and part that they're going to be responsible for, and one of our coaches overslept in Lexington, and so he didn't make it until the last minute. So we all knew what everybody's tasks were, so somebody else just picked it up and went and did his job until he was able to make it. So
Explain how you use event feedback to make changes for future events.
Back to the gym again. We did not have a tiebreaker for our finals event, so we only had space for 3 teams to be able to be in the finals, and there was not a tiebreaker on the computer system. It went ahead and generated, it was an alphabetical order of who got to be in the finals, but so it automatically took the first event and whoever did best in our first event, so we used that as a tiebreaker, and then that's how we ended up finding out who got to be in the finals.
How do you respond to conflict, and can you walk us through your problem-solving process and provide examples?
Let's see. Conflict, I would say you're going to find in every different job or environment or activity that you're going to be involved in. So one way would just be both people writing down their feelings and what their pros and cons about the situation are and what they're unhappy with, and then both people, you know, looking over each person's list and finding out the most important parts of it. And I would just say discuss it in a calm manner, keep a level head, and then find out the ultimate goal of what each person is trying to get out of it and what maybe their biggest complaint is, and see if somebody can come to an agreement. Maybe meet 50-50 and everybody has to give a little bit to come to common ground.
Describe an emergency or an issue that came up during some program and how you handled it or event.
Well, at InfoMetals, we deal with really large, heavy steel beams and structures. So we always, safety is a huge issue at InfoMetals, and to make sure that everybody has safety gear on and you're not getting hurt. So we deal with really large saws and big beams, like I said. So a beam was coming down the line, and instead of getting their hand out of the way, they left their hand and actually smashed their finger. So it kind of like busted open their finger. And everybody just stayed calm and followed the safety procedures. You have to kind of shut the shop down until everything is cleaned up and you get the person to the hospital, and then you just go over your safety measures, and you know, they take a drug test and file their paperwork and all of that. And then you make sure that nobody sticks their hand near a saw again.
Give an example of a recent decision that was difficult to make when working with students. Walk us through how you made that decision.
Well, like I said, I'm the assistant coach at Minford, so we deal with lots of high school girls, and sometimes they aren't able to make it, or they have their stomach hurts, or just a different issue all the time. So we want to be able to adjust our times and our schedules for them. If they're not able to make it, then you know, we'll stay later. If somebody can't come until late and then they have to stay later, we'll adjust our time schedules to be able to help them. And they have lots of other programs and lots of other things that they do, so we want to be able to be accommodating.
Give an example of when you were given a job to do and you were unable to complete it on your own. What made you come to that realization, and how did you go through the process to request assistance?
I would say at Infometals we do traveling, and my territory is around like the Cleveland, Columbus, Northern Ohio area. So whenever we're traveling, we want to be able to see as many customers as possible in our time. If we're out for a week, then you know, you want to, logistically, you can only see so many people a day because you've got to travel at each place. So if we plan to have 2 people go to each stop and we're not going to have enough time, then we'll just split up. And, you know, I might not be able to reach them all, so I'll ask them if they could take some of the customers, and then I'll be able to make mine, and then they would also be able to help out and reach the other customers that I couldn't get to. What number are we on?
Close to halfway. Maybe, yeah.
There's a lot.
Yes, okay.
What experience do you have speaking to large groups and to individuals?
Individuals I talk to every day at work, whether it's at Infometals, is one-on-one. A lot of the time it's over the phone, or sometimes it's in person. And then at soccer, I've got my team of 30 girls. Every day we have conditioning or practice. And then at the gym, that whether it's a competition, you could have up to 200 to 300 people, or you could have one-on-ones with personal training environments.
How do you change your method of communication to meet your target audience?
I would say I would go back to I had a past job at Big Cindi. It was a sales furniture. So a lot of times they would tell us about building rapport with people. So if somebody has a very loud, commanding personality, then you want to have a loud, commanding personality back. So then you're on the same wavelength. Or if you have a more timid person, they might be a little bit more quiet, then you would want to not be so aggressive with them, because that's just going to scare them away. So be a little bit more quiet and reserved to be able to get back down to their level.
Provide examples of when you didn't communicate well. How you handle that and corrected it.
I would say maybe at Infometals, being able to adjust my personality is a little bit more of a bubbly personality, and the steel industry is very aggressive and dirty and old men. So I probably would be too nice and friendly, and that's probably not the best avenue. So I had to adjust my personality to be a little more aggressive with them and really stand my ground on certain issues.
Okay, give us an example of when you had an interaction with a difficult person. How did you handle the situation?
I would say back to the steel industry. I have one customer in particular, and he sounds like Eeyore, so very monotone and grumpy and rude all the time. So I just had to adjust my personality to him and really come back to him strong and stand my ground and make sure that he understood that, you know, our prices are set and that's what it is, and he could either take it or leave it, and just kind of try to come at him in a different way and maybe make a joke or be funny and relate to him, and then break his personality a little bit.
Can you give an example of how you connected with and recruited a new group of students or customers?
Either in soccer or at the gym. Soccer would be a good example because we have a lot of girls, females, they might be a little bit timid to play soccer, and so if they've never played before, they don't know how to play or what it might consist of. So we just encourage them to come out and give it a try and give it a shot, and we'll always be there to guide them and direct them and give them all of the information, so if they just stick to the program and do as we ask, then we'll be able to get them prepared.
Give an example of when you and a colleague disagreed on a matter and how you worked through the situation. What was the end result?
Okay. Well, our lunch schedules at Infometals are normally set. We have a small group of people that are staffed in the office, so we have to make sure that our lunches are staggered, so there's always somebody going to be in the office all the time to be able to answer telephones and such. If somebody isn't able to go to lunch, or they need to go to lunch at a different time than what they're normally scheduled for because of an appointment or something, some people don't like to adjust their lunches at the last minute, so you just have to suck it up and help them out, and you know, if it's only a one-time thing, then be able to adjust your time and let them go on their lunch.
How have you utilized technology to communicate with different groups of people?
Back to Infometals, we have very, I would say, different age ranges. So some are really young and they'll use text messages and email, if that's not a problem, over the phone as well. And then some are really old school, so they only communicate over fax. So they'll fax you a quote or a request, and then you have to get it back on paper, write, handwritten, and then you'll just fax it back to them. So whatever their needs are, then we'll just adjust.
Give an example of how you took something that was outdated or old and updated so it was usable.
Spreadsheets, I really like spreadsheets, and if there was on our database of information of different clients, then it might not include their email address, or it might only include a fax and a phone number. Then I went in and just adjusted, add columns and more information, maybe some special things about the person that will help you remember them, and add their email address or their kids' names or something like that.
Can you give an example of how you have been innovative in your school, work, or personal life?
Well, I like to stay busy, so my schedule is normally pretty packed, so I have to be innovative in the way that I adjust my time and make sure that I'm able to meet all of my requirements and fulfill all of my different areas, whether it's work or practice with my students or classes at the gym.
Give an example of when you pulled in people from several different groups or offices to work together toward a common goal.
Okay. At the gym a lot, we have all different types of ages and backgrounds and heights and strength levels. So a lot of times we'll have a weekend where it'll be a team event, and everybody's going to have to do a certain amount of work or a different lift or task. So everybody just takes what their strengths are and then, does the portion that they're able to. And then whenever they aren't able to finish it, then they'll have the next person go until the event is complete.
Give an example of when you were a part of a group project or a team, how you worked together. Were there any issues, and how would they actually resolve?
I would say back to the gym, whenever we were planning our competition, you're always going to have, I think, on every team, just different personalities, and everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses, so you have to figure out what each person's going to be good at. They always say work at your strengths and manage your weaknesses. So if somebody is really bad at communicating, then you don't want to have them on that. Maybe they can do a task rather than speaking to an audience. And then vice versa, if somebody is really good at speaking, then they could do the demonstrating, and then the other person can gather weights and things like that.
What are the most pressing issues facing college students today, and describe your experience dealing with these issues?
I would say whenever a child, I guess they're not a child at that point, whenever a student leaves their parents' home, depending on the environment at home, it might have been very sheltered, and they're going to go to college and now have all of this freedom. So making sure that they stay on task and then get to their classes. You have all kinds of student loans, or they're going to need to work and balance school and work. So just making sure that they get to classes and finish their classes and don't waste their time, don't fail on their classes and then waste their financial aid or loans and then regret it later.
What do you believe are the special issues facing underrepresented students, and can you describe your experience dealing with these issues?
Underrepresented students, maybe minority groups, and being able to have a grant or scholarship opportunities. They probably don't have maybe the means or the knowledge or the know-how to get to those scholarships and grant programs. So just taking the students case by case and doing all you can to help them, give them the resources and show them the way that they would be able to be benefited from.
Give an example of when you had to act in a customer service capacity and what was the outcome.
I guess everything I ever do is customer service, so you just want to be relatable to the person, really hear what they're, whether they have a complaint or what they're really looking for, listen to them, and just be able to help them to give them what they're asking for, I guess with relativity of if it's okay, just to help them and get whatever it is done, get the job done.
What is your experience with selective or open admission organizations such as academic, WISE, clubs, or anything else in between?
Can you repeat that?
What is your experience with selective or open admissions organizations?
Okay. I would say the soccer team, it's an open admission opportunity for the students, and at the end we're going to have to select a certain amount of people because we can't take everybody. There's only a certain amount of spots available, so it would be the person that fits the best, that works the hardest. We show that they put the effort in, and they might not be the all-star superstar, but if you do what you're asked and you have a good attitude and a good work ethic, then you'd be able to make the fit.
What do you do to stay motivated?
I'm just very busy all the time. I enjoy people and talking to people and seeing other people happy and excited and enjoying their life. So that makes me happy when other people are happy and excited, and if I can help them have a better day or get a task finished or do better in their life, commit to a goal and finish it.
How does this position fit into your short or long-term career goals?
Short term would be, I really want to do something that is fulfilling to me, and right now selling steel is not very fulfilling. There's nothing really you can benefit another person from that. I guess you can help them build a bridge, but I want to directly be able to influence someone's life, and if I'm able to help a student in the direction, get them into college, maybe that they would be nervous about or not really understand the process, then if I could encourage them and help them to do that, then I would enjoy that and feel fulfilled. Long term, I enjoy this area. I'm from the area, and I went here. I played soccer here, and I really have a passion for Portsmouth, and like I said, I coach in the area, so I just want to be able to be an active member of society and help this community grow.
Provide an example of when you went out of your way to help a student.
Back to soccer, I would say there are a lot of students, a lot of our girls who are very timid or scared, or they might not have the conditioning fit yet. So we want to just do extra time with them, or we'll come in early to practice to help them lift weights or stretch and make sure that they know the movements that we're doing, or if somebody wants to stay after to work a little bit more, then we'll help them with that. There's even been times whenever they have academic questions, and we'll help them study or make a list of questions that might help them on a test, something like that.
What would your supervisor say about your strengths?
I would say that they know that I like to talk to people. I talk a lot, and I'm excited about my day. I want to be on a happy foot whenever I wake up, and I want to be happy whenever I go to bed. So they would say that I'm normally in a good mood and a bubbly personality, and want to make other people's days good as well.
Well, right on the end.
Okay. You guys are doing a great job.
Give an example of how you have worked with information systems or the gathering of information and the role you played in the process.
Back to Inframetals, where the company was not there, so we had to, they built the building, and then they brought in all of the new employees, so there was no customers at all. So we had to gather the customers, whether it was over search engine, Google, whatever, and then cold call, and then collect all of the information, bring into our database, and just keep up with those customers on a daily basis, make sure that whatever their needs are, that they're met, and we'll just go back to them every so often and make sure that we've covered all of our bases and we continue to communicate with those customers.
What experience do you have working with records?
I would go back to that. We have to keep the customer's information, whether they purchase every single day or if it's every 6 months they have a certain need for a certain piece of steel. Then we want to know exactly what it is that they look for, and so whenever they come to us, that we would have it in stock and be able to just ship it to them as soon as they needed it.
Give some examples of how you stay current in trends relevant to higher education.
Higher education, I don't have a whole lot of experience. I did work in here as a tour guide, so I know about the university. I am in my 20s, so there are still things that are relative to me, like student loans or grant scholarship programs, things like that.
can you tell us why you are interested in this position?
I enjoy talking to people, and I enjoy the age group that is going into college and helping them to find their direction, and maybe they're unsure of what they want to do. Then we can dig a little bit deeper and see what their interests are, and really just get them on a good path to their future.
You survived.
What's his name again? On the video camera.
Aaron.
Hey, Aaron.
We hopefully, I am very hopeful, we'll make a decision this week. And we are hoping for an August 1st, well, August 3rd is a Monday,
Okay.
start date. And that the position will go to Summer Institute, which is like a networking,
Conference.
thank you.
Okay.
And then you learn, you get to meet people in your travel area and, learn how to do travel stuff. And
Yeah.
they do like college fair setups and teardowns.
Where's
And
that
It is at Capitol this year.
Cool.
And the travel territory would be the eastern third of the state from top to bottom. So Cleveland-ish, which if you travel that now,
Yeah.
probably a little bit familiar with the area.
Yeah.
Down to like Marietta over to
Okay.
Meigs County and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So that's what we would be looking at.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for us?
How do you guys like your jobs? I guess you guys aren't in admissions, right?
Right.
Yeah. So how do you like your job?
I love my job. I like working with the people. Obviously, we have a good group in here, and it's a lot of fun working with the students, and I really like the age
Yeah.
range of the students entering
Right.
college and working with them. So
Cool.
I like my job.
What she said.
You got nothing else?
No, it's a good office. I always said working in the college environment will keep you young.
Right.
Doing this job will make you old because
Okay.
you're in high schools, talking with high school students. And there's no group on the planet that's cooler than high school students. They make you feel really old.
Yeah.
But no, it's a good job.
All right. That's all I got.
Okay. Then we will. Trying to figure out how to stop that.